Danny, Jayden Daniels returned. We talked on the show really all season long. We've discussed this, but the last week or two, the convo has been about whether or not he should come back and play. I have advocated loudly for him to play football. I think he needs to play. I still feel that way. And if he's healthy against the Giants this weekend on the Meadowlands or next week against Philadelphia, I will advocate for him to play football because I think he needs to play football. I think when you watch him play, you see a guy who is not playing at the level he did last year because he has not had the reps in practice and in games and with his teammates to play at a high level. So he's not playing at a high level against Seattle the last time out or against Dallas the time before that necessarily, or certainly in this game against Minnesota where he had a 35 rating and a pick of Andrew Van Ginkel, and he was 9 of 20 for 78 yards. So I think he's got to play football, but he did get hurt again. And now we are at a point, Danny, where it's 3 straight games he's played and he's left with an injury. And it does feel like if he plays, he gets hurt. And so now you're eliminated. You got a month left of the season. That's a lot of football ahead of us. But this conversation's going to come back up in a big way after he landed on that elbow.
Shut him down. That's it. Enough. No more. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. This is very simple to me. You already said it. You just summarized it. When he plays, he gets hurt. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. I deal with what is. Here's what is. He's come back 3 times. He's been hurt 3 times. We can't do it. Whoever's fault it is. The answer is yes. You want to blame him? Want to blame Cliff? You want to blame the offense? Want to blame the O-line? You're probably wrong, but whatever. He can't get through games and stay healthy. We'll try again another time. Here's my analogy.
To be clear, though, you have been for bringing him back.
100%. He needed to play football.
But you don't think he needs to play football now, or takes the back seat?
I still do. That's now in the corner and tiny, and it's overruled. You're in a box. You can stare at that corner. You're right. He needs to play, but we can't do it. We can't do it. Here's this very simple analogy that I have. I have 2 older sons, 12 and 7. They play together. They should, I'm not yelling at you. They should be able to play together without incident. They should be able to, right? How many times have I said to them, hey, guys, can't have that kind of sound, can't have the whining, can't have something break, can't have an incident, can't have a problem. And they go, oh, okay, no problem. I have to come back a second time and warn them. I come back a third time and warn them. And at the end, I come back and say, that's it, we're all done. We should be able to play together without anybody screaming and crying. We should be able to have the TV not break or this piece of glass not fall or a scratch on the wall or someone come to be bleeding. We should be able to do it, but we can't. We can't get through that session. We can't play together. Find something else to do. Go your separate ways. That's what's happened to me. That yesterday broke me. That fall was innocuous as far as football falls go. That should not have been the thing. I'm now going to scream at you, again, not you, Grant, and everybody who will listen to me, that he shouldn't have been playing in the first place. If that fall can knock him out of the game, you should have been cleared. But I'll get to that in a second. The idea that we can't is frustrating. It's embarrassing. It's exasperating. It's pathetic. But we are here. I'm acknowledging that we are here. When he plays, he gets hurt. Therefore, he can't play. I don't know when it's going to be acceptable. I don't know when that's going to come. I just know that something's going on in the water. Something's going on in the air. Something's going on with this franchise where they have lost their privilege to trot him out there as far as I'm concerned. He will be injured again. I can't in good conscience do it. It sucks because he needs to play football. I'm done. Shut him down.
So there's a lot of different areas there I want to respond. But let's just start with the first one, the analogy of your kids don't get to play together anymore. To stay with that analogy, if they had to play together to get to a point where they learn how to play together, I think that's what we're talking about. Like, you're not going to get Jayden Daniels back to being Jayden Daniels without him playing in games to do it. So you're saying we're going to wait 7 months or whatever, and then we'll let them play together again and we'll hope for a different result. I just think in this analogy, it gets harder to play together as you wait longer since you've last done it. Because the longer you go without Jayden Daniels becoming Jayden Daniels, that is problematic. And when I say becoming Jayden Daniels, I mean playing like he did last year, right? Because just like the team, you've got last year and you've got this year, and they look very, very different. But the longer you go without him being on the field routinely, that's a problem. That stunts development. And playing at a high level, that's also an issue. So if that's the case in this analogy where your kids actually have to play together to learn how to do it, and it's the only way to break through this wall to the point where now they're not breaking things and screaming and crying, then however long you wait doesn't really matter, which brings me to my second point, which is for the people that are saying he shouldn't play again this season, they're basically saying that as a way of saying they don't trust him to stay healthy. That they think if he plays, he'll get hurt. Is that fair?
Yes.
Why would that be different in September? That's the part I don't understand.
I don't know. And I don't. Why was
really quickly?
Why was the offense the worst it's been all year when it was the healthiest? I mean, my point is,
sure,
this now defies explanation.
But here's my big picture point on this.
Mm-hmm.
You are acknowledging a really significant issue if that's what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
What you're saying is, I don't trust this player to stay on the field.
Correct.
This player where the original discussion before the draft was, are we sure he's going to be able to stay on the field at this frame and this playing style? If you are advocating for shutting him down for a month of a football season and not playing him for 4 games at the end of the year, it's because you're saying he can't stay healthy.
Yes.
Now, if your argument is some fake thing like the offensive line can't protect him, which has not been a problem. The Seattle game was an example where the best defense in the league got after you. Minnesota blitzes, I get that. But go back to the Denver game with Mariota when the ball came out. This injury, almost every single injury, by the way, it's not that the O-line, he's in the pocket getting crushed. It's he's running, he's moving, he's scrambling, he's doing other things that have nothing to do with the O-line. Cliff's play calling doesn't protect him. Scrambling is not on the play caller. Yesterday was an interception where he's chasing it down and he gets destroyed at the middle of the field. Cliff Kingsbury shouldn't have called the interception play where Van Ginkel, I think he checked it at the line, by the way, and checks into a screen to the guy that defends the screen better on his side of the ball than anybody in the league, based on what I could tell. But that said, so are we now saying that Cliff Kingsbury shouldn't have called the interception play where Jayden chases it down and gets knocked down? No, he's a hell of a competitor. He's one of the great competitors on your team in the league. So he had an interception. He's running. He's playing football. It's a freak thing. But if you're telling me he shouldn't play again in this month, why is it different in September? Other than just saying, well, those games matter, and so we'll risk the injury then. If that's your answer, I guess okay. But what's going to change after the offseason? For this confidence that all of a sudden now he'll learn a lesson while not playing all offseason, that he can now stay healthy? Do you understand my confusion on this?
Of course I do. And so here's my response. One, we have now an automatic if he plays, he gets hurt. You're saying, I don't care if he gets hurt. When you say
I'm not saying that.
That's my, when you translate my thing, now I'm translating your thing. So my response to you on your question is, I don't know the answer. I do know that this shouldn't be happening. This doesn't happen to any team that anybody's this bad. Something is so irrevocably broken, and if I could point to what it is, I would. I'd hand them a note card. Maybe they'd fix it. I don't know why it's going to be better. I hope with an overhaul. I hope with introspective discussions and evaluations of every single element of their organization, from training staff to to water temperature to mold in the building. I have no idea what's going to be better. I hope with time it improves. If it doesn't, we can yell at each other about this next year. I know that when he plays, he gets hurt. That's the end of the discussion for me.
But will he be able to play in week 1, or are we going to be worried about him then too?
Of course I'll be worried.
We'll wait till week 2.
Of course I'll be worried.
But will he play in week 1?
I have no idea. If we get to this situation again where every time he plays, he gets hurt and has to leave the game, then no is the answer. But I'm hoping for improvement. I don't have a specific formula to that. I do know that it's now to the point that it's irresponsible to put him on the field because he can't stay healthy. And your point is correct. When you're saying, I don't trust him to stay healthy. Yep. I got 100% data point now. When he plays, he gets hurt.
Okay, but
so
if
I don't
that's
trust
the
him to stay
case,
healthy.
then the alarm is sounding.
The alarm is sounding.
Which is so much bigger, big picture of the future of this player and the durability of this player. This is what it sounds like to me when you say, he shouldn't play for a month. Alert.
Yes.
Alert. Alert.
I have that alert.
That's what I hear.
And rightfully so. You're right. We're in lockstep on that. Everyone's alarm bell should be exactly where mine is. I am seeing this so 100% correctly. We wait a while. He plays injured. We have 100% sample of that. This is such a disaster. This is such a disaster. If he plays next week, he will leave the game with an injury. I'll bet on that because he's done it 3 straight times.
And my point is I would bet against it because I don't know that it's ever happened before, but
we're here.
I totally understand what you're saying in that regard. I'm not asking Danny Houtier this. I'm asking your camp of people this.
Yes.
But to the people that say you can't play him, are they okay playing him in week 1 next year?
Yes.
Or should we wait until week 2?
I think that's what's the you accuse me of straw manning?
Yeah.
Like right now.
It's 100% straw manning. I'm doing a bit.
Yeah, right now it's a disaster. Yes. I'm hoping it won't be a disaster next year. I'm hoping with an overhaul and a bunch. But again, that's all this is hope. I have no data point that supports. I just know that right now, here's where we are.
Yes.
He plays, he gets hurt. I can't do any discussion past that.
Exactly. And it is straw manning, and it is a bit to drill home my point, which is you're just kicking the can down the road. That's all people are doing is saying, at this point, I don't want to deal with this right now. I don't want to deal with the fact that, he can't stay on the field, that he can't stay healthy, that when he plays, the level is not where we want it to be or need it to be. So let's worry about it in September. That's what I hear. That's what people are saying. And I agree, because the season will be back on, and hopefully they'll have a good supporting cast around him, which they did, by the way, in this shutout loss to the Minnesota Vikings. And because it's a new season where they're not eliminated, I understand that literally it makes more sense to play him in that game. But acknowledge, people out there, that if you're saying don't play him again for the next month, what you're actually saying is you don't trust that this player can stay healthy for 60 minutes of football.
And right now, this minute, that's the case for me.
That is a gigantic problem.
Yes, it is. And again, a lot of it's him. A lot of it is him. The overwhelming majority is him, and he need the change that I was begging for has not happened, and that's terrifying.
What injury this year can you pin on anybody else? I mean, I guess the nuances of you had to leave the pocket against Seattle because of pass rush, or you called an RPO, where Dan Quinn essentially said after the game, we never run on that play anyway. Like, it was designed for a pass and Debo's in the end zone, whatever. But like, you could say they shouldn't have run an RPO, so you put a couple percentage points on Cliff, or the pressure happened, which just happens in the league. But Seattle was harassing him all day. Like, that's a play where he chose to leave the pocket. The Green Bay play, he's running. This play, he's running. Dallas, he's in the pocket and he's kind of reacting, and the hamstring goes on him. Where are the plays where it's something else?
Well, not necessarily the play, but Quinn himself said, I missed it. That's where we got the I missed it.
Oh, you mean taking him out of the game?
Not having him in the game.
That's fair.
When they're down by a million.
I just mean the actual
sure,
injuries.
the actual play itself. Right.
Do you look at the play and go, that's somebody else's fault?
Right. So you and I have disagreed about this, and we'll disagree about it forever. But to me, the we're in the shotgun all the time to emphasize his running, and that's a paradigm thing where it's more of an option for him, and it's emphasized for him, and that leads to decision making that we'll continue to put him at risk. I mean, there was a play on the sideline yesterday where he's cutting back again, taking on shots. I'm sitting there going, oh my God, please don't stop this. And of course, he just does it and pops back up because it was nothing. We only notice the ones where he gets hurt. To me, the process is terrible. And there needs to, I don't know what Cliff and Dan are saying to him behind the scenes. I have no idea. We'll never know. We get a glimpse on Hard Knocks, and it's usually a cliche. And then, we'll high five about Tavita getting another job because, he's a commander for life or whatever the hell it is. But I don't know what's being said behind the scenes. I know that it ain't working. I know that the injuries are happening at a 100% rate. And until that's different, we can't do this.
I want to get back into this idea you brought up, which I've seen a lot of, and it's interesting. I'm not shooting it down. I just want to discuss it, that maybe he shouldn't have been cleared if you land on the elbow and you leave the game. So we'll do that next. Jay Gruden at 3. He advocated for Jay Gruden, just like every other coach and executive for the most part, getting back on the field. We'll talk to him at 3. Caps tickets at 4. Adam Amin, who called the game at 5 on the Fan.